There's nothing like a Disney drink. From the mint julep to the Dole Whip float, Disney parks have got it all. Cold or frozen, alcoholic or non, expensive or expensive, no matter what you're looking for when you visit the parks, they've got everything. Well, not everything. They don't have Butterbeer. To get that, you'll have to go a few miles up the road. In July of 2010, Universal Orlando essentially dictated the next 20 years of theme park design when they debuted the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, an immersive themed land based on a popular book and film franchise upon which I have no further thoughts, and proceeded to make all of the money. And amazingly, most of that all of the money is off the back of the land's signature drink. So why is it so popular? Why hasn't Disney made something with the same appeal? I simply must know. So let's talk about Butterbeer, and how not to compete with it. It's hard to say goodbye. I had a good thing going. It worked for the mouse, got to spend my days shipping cargo and my weekends thanking the Phoenicians. Met a lot of great people, made the occasional buck. It was nice while it lasted. But times change and things end. Time to head back home and start the next chapter. Home at last. Brand new year, brand new possibilities. I'm all theme parked out now. We're going to talk about some new things. We're going to make some exciting changes around here. Well, maybe one last theme park ramble. There is a lot of history surrounding the food we associate with entertainment. Popcorn at movie theaters, funnel cake at county fairs, overpriced food trucks at corporate-friendly pride festivals, the usual suspects. Theme parks have drawn on many of these influences in the past, and with time have grown beyond them into all sorts of places. And with the food has evolved the theme park drink. The growing foodie culture at theme parks has incurred a signature drink arms race, as every dining venue needs an Instagrammable whatever. But there's one that stands in a category all its own, and that's Butterbeer. It's more popular than breathing. Since it debuted, its price has almost tripled, and it continues to sell with lines out the door at every single stand. So why does it sell so well? The obvious starting place is that it tastes good, and it does. It's a non-alcoholic cream soda with a butterscotch flavor and a frothy head that has a slight tang to it. Cream sodas are underrepresented in the soda landscape, which I think gives it a boost, and the head gives it a more unique mouthfeel and a richness that makes it feel premium, while also making a good simulacrum of beer that you can serve to your kid. Hell, it tastes exactly like what I wanted beer to taste like when I was a kid. It's light and easy to drink, which also helps. Beyond being a good drink, it has something else going for it: existing notoriety. Being in the books means that fans of the series already knew the drink, and their curiosity to taste it probably brings a lot of initial sales that might lead to more if they like the taste. It helps that its depiction in the series is positive. The characters are shown to enjoy it, and you probably remember this milk mustache scene. It's everything Harry likes about escaping his world and diving into the magical one, distilled into drink form. Of course we want to try it. And when we do, we want to post about it on Twitter so all our friends can want to try it too. And the last of the big reasons: it's one of the only things to drink in the land. The creator of Harry Potter, who I am choosing to represent with this picture of artificial grass, insisted that the land only sell themed food and drinks, meaning the Butterbeer doesn't compete with familiar soft drinks, and only has to stand against water, pumpkin juice, and other things that I'm sure British people enjoy. And so Butterbeer was a great success. Universal proceeded to capitalize on this by selling it cold, frozen, hot, and as ice cream and potted cream, and also by raising the price. It's sold at Universal's park on both American coasts, and in Japan and Beijing, and a version of it is sold at Warner Brothers Studio Tours in London and Japan, as well as their traveling exhibit in New York store. I can't confirm whether or not this is the same drink. I've seen conflicting reports, and Warner uses a different branding on most of their Butterbeer copy, except they also sold the same mug you can get at the parks, so I have no idea how the rights to the drink recipe and or merchandise sit between the two companies. Comment with your opinions on the matter. Anyway, it's popular, and it's made more money than you or I ever will. Enter Disney. Fortunately, in my last week in town, I was able to scope out the competition, as it were, compile the list of Butterbeer challengers that we'll be covering. Let's get started. In 2012, Disney opened not one, but two new themed lands in their parks. Cars Land opened at the Disneyland Resort in June, while the anticipated new Fantasyland expansion at Walt Disney World opened in phases throughout the year. These projects have been in the works since before Potter, but it was easy enough to market them as serious competition. Cars Land, though built around a less fandom-heavy franchise, had immersive theming and a compelling e-ticket. On the East Coast, Disney launched a website pitching the story of New Fantasyland, explaining the dark magic that had kept it from being accessible until now, and describing the new experiences guests would discover there. Among them was Gaston's Tavern, the very same spot seen in the movie, with delicious cinnamon rolls on the menu, along with a drink of interest. See, when you watch the movie, you have to wonder, just what is it that Gaston is drinking? Disney sought to give us an answer, and also coincidentally launch a drink that's a non-alcoholic simulacrum of a frothy mug of beer that you can get in a signature stein just 2 years after Universal did that exact thing. So this is LeFou's Brew. It's a frozen apple juice drink with toasted marshmallow flavor and a foamy head with flavors of passion fruit and mango. In the name of science, I grabbed my friend Peyton and gave it a shot. Alrighty, LeFou's Brew. It is a frozen apple juice with toasted marshmallow notes and a mango passion fruit head.
Okay.
Yeah. Harder to get into there than I expected.
I just got the foam on top.
Me too. Deploy the emergency straws. Very mango-y, very passion fruity.
It's like a slushy.
Those tropical flavors come through there. There's that apple juice. Yeah. That is a good frozen apple juice. Like, that is really well balanced.
That's really good.
Yeah, I'm gonna mix it in now.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Oh yeah, you put it all together, and it's a much more like, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, gives me fall vibes.
I feel that.
It's just so tropical that it kind of puts me off.
It is, yeah, it is weirdly tropical for an apple drink. So I have a couple of questions for you. Your first important question, if this were the real Gaston's Tavern, does this feel like the kind of thing he would be drinking?
No, not at all. This feels like a very girly, fruity drink. Okay. So it doesn't give me Gaston vibes.
That's fair, that's fair. My second question for you, do you think this is worth the price?
Worth the price? I would say, I mean, depending on what you're going for, I think for a fruity drink, it's worth the price. I think for Gaston's signature drink, it's not.
Okay, okay. And the final question, this is the big one. Is this a worthy competitor to Butterbeer?
No.
Okay.
Not at all. It's not.
Not even close?
No. It's nothing like Butterbeer, and Butterbeer is just it's so different from almost any other drink I've ever had. And this tastes like a smoothie that I could get at like Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. My recommendation to you is to mix it before you drink it, because otherwise the marshmallow flavor won't integrate and go from being non-existent to being overwhelmingly intense. I did not finish mine because I failed to do this. So how'd they do with this one? It doesn't quite give tavern brew the way I want it to, and the flavor profile doesn't seem to match the vibe either. It might not be surprising then to find out that it originates from Cars Land, where it was sold as Red's Apple Freeze at the Cozy Cone Motel. This version was on offer until the parks reopened from the pandemic, at which point it appears to have been axed. Pour one out for Red's Apple Freeze. Maybe pour out a LeFou's Brew. Did the drink ever catch on? Fans dubbed it Disney's answer to Butterbeer early on, and debated its merits heavily, but it seems that the winner was clear. Gaston's wasn't too busy when I visited, but all the same, I did not see anyone else drinking the brew. Even the decorative fountain didn't feel like pouring any. But maybe Fantasyland's too traditional for today's beverage consumer. It's time to go sci-fi. It's time to head off-planet, if you know what I mean. In 2017, Disney would finally find their answer to Harry Potter. Leveraging a $1 billion sci-fi property they'd acquired the theme park rights to, that had a big-name director behind it and an iconic locale to recreate, it's Avatar, they did Avatar. The joke is that the last few sentences describe Star Wars, but they did Avatar. Pandora, the world of Avatar, took guests to the Valley of Moara, a beautiful preserve teeming with life, where they could fly in an Ikron, ask cast members what an Ikron is, and even get a drink at Disney's second attempt at figuring out how to make Butterbeer money. Welcome to Pongu Pongu, the drink stand here at the old canteen. Time to discover the flavors of Pandora and drink the Night Blossom, a frozen mix of apple and desert pear limeade, topped with tropical popping boba. Let's check it out now.
Night Blossom.
Night Blossom. Okay, so this is the Night Blossom. It is the signature drink for Pandora, World of Avatar. It is layers of apple and I believe desert pear. And it's got some boba on top to make it look alien. So, I've got Sabrina here with me. She's going to help me enjoy this drink. And let's see. I have a couple questions afterward.
Okay.
But let's just get into it. I like that. It's very
sweet.
Yeah, it's almost like candy.
Yeah.
Very like the candied apple flavor.
Yeah. It's like it's like if you took a blue raspberry Jolly Rancher.
Yes, I was thinking Jolly Rancher. It's got the same flavor.
I'm gonna try and just get the boba.
Yeah. It's definitely more of a tropical flavor in the boba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely tropical.
So my first question for you. Does this feel like a pongu pongu?
Yeah, okay. Feels like a pongu pongu.
So it's pongu being the word for party in the Navi tongue.
I didn't even need to know what it meant. It's
So it
definitely
felt-
a pongu pongu.
it definitely is a
giving
pongu pongu?
for sure,
Okay.
times 2.
That's fair. Okay, that's a good first sign. My second sign, would you buy this drink?
No,
No.
no.
Okay.
It's $7.
It is $7. But it's a pongu pongu. And my final question. Do you think this is a good competitor to Butterbeer?
Yeah, it's unique enough. It definitely has more aesthetics to it than Butterbeer.
That is fair. That is fair. It's got the aesthetic going for it.
Yeah.
The flavors are a bit more harmonious here, and the popping boba serves dual purpose as fun alien quirk and also as an attempt to latch onto the growing bubble tea craze that by this point was newly trendy. Between the boba and the vibrant colors, it feels alien enough. And unlike LeFou's brew, it's much slushier, which made it significantly easier to drink. A more tropical flavor for the drink itself would probably help it stand out though. Culturally, the Night Blossom hasn't made too much of a splash, but The Verge seemed to go to bat for it, which I think counts for something. And look what they compared it to! Other than the unicorn frappuccino, which it also got compared to by some other outlets, because colorful drinks get Instagram shares. But okay, you've waited long enough. Let's get to the thing you're here to see. In 2019, Disney would produce their real answer to Harry Potter, a land themed to the only property in the world big enough to challenge the throne. And it goes a little something like this. That's all I'm allowed to play, but you get the point. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is such a fascinating beast, and I could talk about it for 7 uninterrupted hours. I'm fun at parties. One of the most unique things about it is that its events are canon to the cinematic Star Wars universe, unlike essentially every other IP integration in a theme park. Because of this, they had to find a way to build a story that could tie into the movies without getting in the way. They settled on creating the all-new planet Batuu, and building its unimportance to the movies into its story, as a has-been trade route that's so forgettable the Resistance is hiding out there. This framework let them mix and match big movie things like Kylo Ren or the Millennium Falcon, with original or expanded universe things like Oga Gara or Hondo Ohnaka, and build a story that feels important while being entirely uncritical to understanding what's going on in the movies. Which means that a Fortnite tie-in had more plot relevance than this entire land. I'm not salty about this at all. All of this is relevant because this canon mix matching allowed them to distill all the most iconic Star Wars stuff from across the galaxy into one little outpost. There's lightsaber building, there's a sketchy cantina, there's pod racing equipment, and there's even a stand selling 2 of the galaxy's most recognizable drinks. That's right, remember how Luke drank blue milk on Tatooine? And then how Luke drank green milk directly from this thing when he exiled himself on whatever that planet was called? Now you too can drink the things Luke drank in the most boring and the most somber chapters of his entire life. It'll be sensational. Let's charge $8 for it. In-universe, the milk stand is run by a kindly milk farming family that landed on Batuu believing it to be a thriving trading post, and got all settled in before realizing it no longer was. This is an appropriate storyline to give to a stand that I have never seen a line in front of. After all, who wouldn't want to stand in the Floridian Batuan heat and drink a refreshing glass of milk? Now, obviously, it's not just regular milk with blue in it. It's actually a combination of rice and coconut milks, served lightly slushed, with blue in it. This makes it much more palatable as a drink, though it is yet another frozen drink on this list, and they still advertise it as milk, which I'm sure doesn't help attract patrons. But enough stalling. It's time to don these pod racing goggles and drink some colored milk.
Milk's blue and green. So, these are the blue and green milks. They are, what are they?
They are a coconut milk and rice milk mixture. The blue is gonna be like a tropical berry and dragon fruit flavor, while the green is like a citrus orange blossom.
Excellent. All right, so I've got Adrianna with me, and you worked at the milk stand for a while.
Yes.
So this is a familiar drink to you.
Yes.
And we're also going to mix them, you said.
Yes.
All right, so let's put some in there first. Cool.
Kind of mix it in. So
Yeah. All right, you ready for the taste test?
Yes.
A very fruity drink. Like very strong right there.
It's citrusy. You get a tinge of it, but it's more earthy. Super tasty.
Very tasty. And very intensely flavored. Like I think when you think of milk, you're expecting something that's a bit more like subtle in the flavor profile. And then what you're getting is a deeply fruity drink. And I'm like, it's yeah.
I've had guests compare these to like Smarties, Sweet Tarts.
Do you want to go in for the double?
Yes.
All right, let's do it.
I prefer this one mixed.
Give that a go. Oh, they are very good together. Wow, you get both of them in there, and it's
I
just,
personally like it best that way.
it's more alien that way too. Like it kind of like it's a bunch of flavors, and your brain kind of can't quite figure them all out together. So
Yeah.
they just taste good. So I have a couple questions for you.
Yeah.
My first question: does this feel like blue and green milk from the Star Wars franchise? Does it feel like correct in that universe?
From what I know, yes. I think it's an accurate-ish description.
Does it give you that alien feeling when you drink it? Like
It's definitely something unique, and most people are like,
my second question: do you think it is worth the price that we would pay for it?
no.
No. My final question for you: is this a worthy competitor to Butterbeer?
I like Butterbeer better, just because it tastes better, personally.
Okay.
It really tastes nothing like you'd expect a milk drink to taste like. It's good, but it needs you to feel a little uncomfortable to get its kicks. It tastes like it looks, with that off-color wall paint blue. I've been able to drink this cold instead of frozen before, and my hot take is that it's preferable that way. But drinking it like that makes it feel more like milk, which makes drinking it in the sun feel worse. You can't win, unless you visited the late Galactic Star Cruiser, in which case you got to drink it chilled from the comfort of the indoors. This alone made the Star Cruiser worth the price. But let's get real. How successful are the space milks? They've certainly fared better than the Brew or the Blossom. In fact, financially speaking, I'd assume they're the most successful non-butterbeer drinks we're going to talk about today. Tons of people go to Galaxy's Edge and check out the milk from the movies so they can say they've tried it. The problem is that I don't think this is generating fans of these drinks. I don't have access to any hard data on this, but I've been on social media, and I've been to the parks. There are 3 Butterbeer locations in Hogsmeade, and they are always all busy. There's only one milk stand in Galaxy's Edge, and I've never seen it fill the switchbacks. People post about Butterbeer like it's their favorite drink, and they post about blue milk like it's an obligation, a local delicacy that one simply must experience once. No one's demanding a blue milk potted cream. Or hot milk. Let's not think about hot milk. So why isn't space milk having a cultural moment? It could be that the drinks just aren't very good. There's compelling evidence for this. They're divisively flavored, especially the green milk. It could be that they're just not all that fondly looked upon in Star Wars media. As I mentioned, no one's celebrating their victories with a refreshing milk glass. We only see these drinks incidentally, and never is it particularly aspirational. There's no Hermione foam mustache shot. Unless you count this. It could also be that these drinks just aren't what guests are looking for. They're fruity, frozen milk smoothies. Butterbeer is a refreshing soda that hits an extremely different flavor profile, and to speculate a bit, it being so much more similar to normal fountain drinks probably makes it easier for guests to drink it like a fountain drink and not like the specialty drink it is. And also it isn't competing with a Coca-Cola cart 15 feet away. All this is to say, the blue milk fandom is dying. Like this video if you are a true blue baller. Yeah, I stand by that joke. So Disney's now tried to find their own Butterbeer 3 separate times, and they've all been frozen and fruit flavored. Ever wonder what would happen if they tried anything else? In June of 2021, Disney quietly launched a new drink at Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland as they reopened from the Batu flu. Introducing Cold Brew Black Calf. Cold brew coffee, whipped cream cheese head, Cocoa Puffs. Pure genius. It came to Batu East the next year, where you can find it at Katsaka's Kettle. here's my friend Alicia and I drinking the thing ding.
All right, cold brew black calf from Kosaka's Kettle. So this is the most success I think they have had. Ours have started to melt just a little bit, but just go for it.
You're just eating the cereal? I have a spoon.
No, as always, the first thing that ends up in my mouth is the ice.
Oh, yeah, the ice, yeah.
Take over the cereal without accidentally getting ice. The coffee is like, it's like a good cold brew, so it's like strong and black, but then the cream from the cream cheese head, it balances it really nicely.
Didn't California get this first?
I think they did.
Like, influencers would show pictures of it and I would get jealous. So when it came, I was there first day waiting in line for it. And I was like, I know I'm gonna like this. I think I just like it because it's cream cheese. Like, it's tricking my brain into thinking I like the whole concoction. But
it's just the cream cheese
the
part.
cereal is just to look fun. Like, remind you of childhood. Like, there's cereal on top, that makes it outer spacey.
Yeah.
But let's be real here. This is just cream cheese.
That's the star of the show.
And it's delicious.
It's so good. So, I guess my questions would be, first of all, does this feel like outer space coffee?
I call it space coffee because, like, I call this Spaceland, and that's Space Ride, and this is space coffee. I feel like if it didn't have cereal on top, I don't know what it is, but somehow the cereal sells it. It gets me to go to Star Wars Land.
Yeah.
And that's something that I don't think any Disney drink has succeeded in before.
That's fair. My second question would be, do you think it is worth the price you pay for it?
I have no idea what I pay for this. I don't look at what I pay for things in theme parks, because if I knew, I wouldn't pay for things in theme parks.
That's so real. You are honestly the same.
I have no idea what this costs.
$6.17.
You know what?
$6.70.
That's not that bad.
No, that's
I pay
what's
$5.99 for
prices?
Starbucks. Yeah.
And the most important question of all, how does this compare to Butterbeer? Is this a worthy competitor?
I mean, I do now get this more than Butterbeer. And Butterbeer used to be, like, when it was new, I'd be like, oh, I have to go get a Butterbeer. I think people really like cold brew right now. So I think it's a timing thing. I don't think it's going to be as timeless, but then again, maybe Butterbeer won't either.
Maybe.
The obvious main character here is the cream cheese. It's the primary flavor, while being the sweetener and the creamer for the coffee. And it works so well. The tanginess makes it just unfamiliar enough to be novel. My recommendation is to order it without ice, because it'll be easier to eat the Cocoa Puffs. And stir it together if you don't like layered coffee drinks. Coffee, or calf, has existed in the Star Wars universe for a long time, primarily an expanded universe material. This is the laziest possible method of developing a drink from the Star Wars universe, and I am here for it. The concept of cream cheese as a topping for a drink originates in Taiwan, and has been spreading throughout the world, largely running the boba tea playbook as it grows in popularity. And just like boba, the cheese tea has found its way into a Disney drink. The Cocoa Puffs hardly pull their weight flavor-wise, though they do add a little something, but we all know they're here to make the drink look cooler, which is why it shocked the nation when they briefly switched to Cocoa Krispies during a shortage. I'm not gonna lie to you and say this drink sells better than blue milk, because I am absolutely certain it does not. But what I can tell you is this: it is loved. Cold brew black calf is a cult drink. I assume it gets more repeat customers by quite a bit. The people who buy it keep buying it, and I am no exception. This drink is a favorite of many Parks fans. Other than it just being a very tasty drink, I think the context of a coffee drink does a lot for it. Just like soda, iced coffee is something a lot of guests are already used to drinking casually, and because caffeine is a thing, it's a necessity for many. It's a much easier sell because it registers as a coffee and not as a treat. Plus, you can only get it here, so why go to Starbucks when you've come all this way? This drink accomplishes the same thing Butterbeer does, by just being a unique spin on something you're already primed to buy and drink. And they've even managed to keep the brown liquid foamy top aesthetic. This is how it's done. Their best attempt yet, and they weren't even trying. Man, I could go for one of those right now. Sometimes to understand a success, you gotta understand a failure. Butterbeer is an absolutely extraordinary success. There's no way Disney could have willed a competitor into existence, because it takes a uniquely fondly presented drink and a beloved and wildly successful pop culture phenomenon that happens to map really well into a drink archetype that people will buy, that happens to taste good, and that then happens to get lucky and become a hit on its own. But even if you can't make Butterbeer money, you can at least get something out of it. Disney took a few shots at it, and I'm sure they're getting there something. But I don't think we've seen their last attempt just yet. And that's that. One last theme park ramble in the bag. Time to move on with my life. I have to go back.
That's much better than the one I had in the movie.